Hey guys, it's Lisa here from Recreative Designs again. I'm so glad to be back with you, and today I'm going to walk you through the steps how to make your own lavender stems. So this is perfect craft for summer coming in. You can use it on your table to make your table gorgeous for summer, and we're going to get right to it. This is really an easy project. And it's mostly things that you would have at home or that you can find easily. So what you're going to need to do to start is to find some twigs from outside. I found you want to keep them really skinny and kind of small because we want this to look like real lavender stems. So we want to make it as realistic as possible. I just find that has a much prettier look to it. So I found a whole bunch of these little skinny twigs. I'm coming to you from up in Canada, by the way, and so our snow has just recently gone away not too long ago, so I got a bunch of these twigs before the leaves came out on our trees. And we'd love to know where you're coming from too, so be sure to let us know. And Brad, who's behind the camera today, will let me know where you're coming from. And we're also going to do a Hometalk draw today. So if you've seen other lives, we're going to give away a cool Hometalk tote, and you just need to let us know in the comments what flower you would make. So we're going to make lavender stems today if you're just joining us, but be sure to let us know what you would do with this or how you kind of change it up and make it your own. So the other thing you're going to need, so we need some twigs, and we've got our twigs here. I just found these outside off the tree, and you want pretty skinny ones, and you can have them curved as long as you want, whatever works for you. You're also going to need just a plain mason jar. And this is what I like to put my twigs in. So not only can I put them in here when they're drying, but I can put them in here to display them on my dining room table or on my buffet, things like that. So we're going to start with, our jar first so that this dries in time. And I'm going to use today some Fusion Mineral Paint, and this one is Casement. So it's just a white color. You can see here. It's just a really pretty kind of snowy white color. And if you're just joining us, we're making some lavender stems for the summer. I love lavender. I don't know about you. I know some people either love it or hate it. Well, I am a huge lavender lover. I love the smell. I love the look of it. I love the color. So for me, this is a perfect craft to have around my house in the summer. So be sure to let us know where you're joining us from. If you missed it, we're up in Ottawa, Canada. And I'm coming to you from up there today. And we're just getting our mason jar ready here. This will hold our lavender stems after we've made those. So, and our Hometalk Live giveaway question today is what flower you would make. So be sure when you're telling us where you're from, what flower you would make with these. This was on the Hometalk email yesterday, and there were some great comments over on Hometalk about how people would kind of change this project up, and they had some great suggestions, so we'd love to hear yours as well. And if you happen to miss anything today, all of the directions are over on Hometalk, so you can find them there as well if you're not sure or you missed something. So we've started with our jar here. We've just taken a plain mason jar, and I've painted it white, and I'm just going to let that dry for a while, so that's why I wanted to do that first. And we're going to take some twigs here. So these are just plain twigs that we found out on the tree before our trees got leaves here. And they're pretty skinny, and we want to paint them to make them look like real lavender stalks. Again, I just like with stuff that looks kind of realistic, but
a lot of people want lilacs.
Oh, lilacs, that would be beautiful. That would be a good idea, actually. So we're going to take our twigs and we want to paint them. And I'm going to make a custom color here. I'm just going to use a jar to mix a little bit of this up in.
And hibiscus.
Oh, hibiscus. That would be pretty too. Don't forget to tell us where you're joining us from, where you're tuning in from. We'd love to know too. We're up in Ottawa, Canada.
Red rose and from Florida.
Oh, red rose, that would be pretty. Hello from Florida. Brad just said someone's coming from Florida. So I'm going to take a little bit, this is the Fusion Mineral Paint, and this one's called Inglenook, and it's this really pretty seafoam green. So this is almost the color I want to paint the stalk, so I'm going to pour a little bit of this in my jar. And it's just a little bit light for what I want, for the color that I want on my stems. So I'm going to add just a little bit of this Fusion Mineral Paint, and it's called Bayberry. And you can use any paint you want. You just want kind of a mossy green color for the stems. And they will have that really pretty, like real lavender stems. So you can see in the jar here, I've got some of the inglenook, and I'm just gonna pour in a hint of bayberry. So this will just darken it up a bit. And I like to keep the colors soft. I think that's just really pretty when they're soft, and they go so well with the purple.
Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, thanks
And,
for joining us.
Alabama.
Alabama, Melbourne, Australia. So you can see I'm just mixing it up here. And it's kind of this almost seafoam green, but it's just got a hint of moss to it. So it's a little bit darker than a seafoam green. And you can pick up paint anywhere, at the craft store, at the dollar store.
Someone from Greece wants black tulips.
Oh, thank you for joining us all the way from Greece too. Tulips would be so pretty too. Okay, so we've got this pretty green color. And you can use whatever paint you want. I just paint a lot of furniture and things, so I have Fusion Mineral Paint on hand. And what we want to do, we want to actually paint the tree stand, or these tree branches, twigs that we collected. You can see mine are kind of different colors. There's some gray ones and there's some brown ones. But I want to paint them so they just look a little bit more like real lavender stems. I've got lilacs on the brain now. Someone said they would like to make lilacs. That would be really pretty. So I'm just going to take my paintbrush, and I want to paint just the twig here. So you can see. Don't forget, we'd love for you to give us some hearts and likes and tell us where you're from. And our Hometalk giveaway question today is, what flower would you make with twigs and beads like this? So be sure to tell us. So you can see I've got my twig. I just kind of painted it. You don't need to paint the whole thing. You can do this however you'd like. We just want to color up some of these twigs. You could leave them natural looking, but because I'm painting, or I'm going to make lavender stems, I really wanted them to be that really gorgeous green color that lavender stems are, so they look a little more realistic. Whoop. And you don't have to worry about covering the whole twig. It's really pretty if it's kind of rustic looking. So you can see we've got some painted there. And here are some that I pre-painted. I'm going to put our unpainted twigs over here. So you can see once the green color dries, I didn't worry about covering the entire stem. You can see there are spots because I just really wanted it to look realistic. So I'm just going to cover the ends here. And when you're picking your twigs, you can pick whatever size you want. Just remember that the lavender on the end is going to be a little bit heavy, so you don't want twigs that are too small, as in too short, or too thin, because the lavender will be quite heavy once we make the lavender bloom on the end. So here's our twigs. And you can make as many as you want to have in your bouquet. Someone on the Hometalk, this craft is up on Hometalk, and it was in the email yesterday, and someone suggested that they could use all different colors for the ends. They could make the lavender and then insert it into like a bouquet of white flowers, even real flowers, to add some color. And I thought that was really pretty. So okay, so we have our twigs here, and these are just twigs, if you're just joining us, that we found outside. They're just twigs from the yard. And we've just painted them with a combination of green paints here. We made this really pretty kind of mossy, seafoamy green color. So we've got our twigs all laid out. Again, you can make as many as you want. And we're just going to start with this. We started with these plain twigs here. Now, to make the lavender buds on the end, we need some purple beads. And you can see they're pretty tiny. And I also like to use a little bit of purple glitter. I know lavender doesn't have glitter on it, but this, when it dries, it just gives it that hint of kind of almost like dew on the lavender. Gives it a little hint of almost like it's wet. So I like to add in a little bit of this purple. You can see it's a kind of couple different shades of purple, and this is glitter. These things you can pick up at Hobby Lobby if you're in the States, or Michael's if you're in other countries. They're pretty easy to find. These beads, I'll show you a little bit here. They're pretty small. You can see them in my hand here. And they're just in the jewelry section. And they were really inexpensive. They were just $5 Canadian, like for all of these. So that's only a couple of dollars. And you can see they're pretty small. So we don't want big, huge beads because there will be too many gaps between them. So you want fairly small beads to work with. And so we have our cup of beads and we have our glitter. So be sure to tell us where you're joining us from. Brad can let me know. And what you would make on your stems as well. And that's our Hometalk giveaway question today. So, okay, so I've chosen for all my twigs, I kind of chose really interesting ones. I like it when they're not really all the same. They're kind of funky looking, all twisty and turny. And so I'm going to, what you're going to do is take your twig, and this is the one thing you really need for this project is a hot glue gun. You kind of can't do it without a hot glue gun. So just be really careful. Don't burn yourself, as I am prone to do. And we are going to actually make the shape of the lavender bloom with the glue first. And then we're going to dip it into our beads and our glitter. So before I do that, I like to take my cup of beads, and I'll show you here. And I'm just going to sprinkle some of the glitter on top. So you can see I'm just kind of sprinkling the glitter in the beads. And I don't want to disturb that now, because when I dip my glue in, it's kind of going to all attach to the hot glue. So we're going to do that, and I've got this here. And maybe Brad can let us know where some of you are tuning in from. We're up in Ottawa, Canada, if you missed that, if you're just joining us. Okay, so I'm going to start with my hot glue, and I'm going to just start. Lavender blooms are really long and thin, so I'm just going to start with my hot glue gun here.
Abbotsford, British Columbia.
Oh, Abbotsford, British Columbia. Another Canadian.
Yeah.
We are actually up in Canada celebrating our 150th birthday this year, so everybody's pretty excited about that. And lots of stuff going on for that. So if you're looking for a good vacation.
In Kentucky, Oklahoma.
Oh, Kentucky. Okay, so you can see I'm just kind of putting all kinds of glue over the end of my twig here. Maybe Brad can.
Oregon, Newfoundland, California.
Oh, Newfoundland, another Canadian too. Okay, so I've got a good amount of glue here, and you want to make sure there's enough glue for the beads to get pushed into. So you can kind of already see it's taking the shape of the lavender bloom at the end here. Okay, so that's about what I need. You can see it's all the way around, and it doesn't really matter if it's perfect. Now I'm going to dip it into this mixture that I put of the glitter and the beads, and I'm just going to cover it. And as they are stuck there, I want to kind of squeeze it. Again, be careful you don't burn yourself on the hot glue. But once the beads are on, you shouldn't be touching the glue anyway. So you can see I've just kind of pushed them in. And you'll have some stragglers that'll fall off. But I've pushed them in, and this is when you can shape it too. If there's anything you don't like, you can shape it. You can move it around a bit before it hardens. But I really like how it just kind of forms and it just takes on its own little life there. Some of your beads will drop off as it dries if they've stuck on top of other ones, and that's okay. There, you can see that. Can you see that? Okay, so we're going to put that over here in our jar to dry. And we have our mason jar over here that we painted at the beginning. It's just drying right now. So we're going to leave that to dry, and we're going to start putting our blooms up here so that they can dry. So what other flowers would you do with this? Could you make with this? We'd love to know.
I'm tuning in from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, thank you. Brad just said we have somebody joining us from Brazil. We've got people all over the world today. Thank you for taking the time to join us. If you just tuned in, we are making lavender stems for the summer that you could use to decorate your table or a buffet, any sort of summer home decor. And it's really pretty and kind of rustic looking. So I love these. And they're so easy to make. Okay, you can see, so I've got my painted twig. I've got glue all over the end here. It's just kind of stuck all around there. And if you want, since I mixed that up, we can add a little bit of glitter onto the top again here. So here's my beads with the glitter. Okay, and I just work in a little dish. I have these little vintage tin dishes, so it just kind of holds my beads in there. And I'm going to push my twig in again and just push the beads all over this. You want to cover up all the glue so try not to have any glue left showing there. And then you can start, just squeeze them gently and they'll all kind of stick into the glue. You might have some stragglers that'll fall off as it dries, and that's okay. You can see we've had a few fall off here, and that's all right. You can also go back to later if there's any spots that you missed or maybe one fell off. You can always go back, add a little bit of glue. This glue might have started to dry a little bit before I put the ends on because I was showing you, so I'll just add a little bit more glue.
What size of beads are you using?
These beads are, I'll show you in just a second. Oh, this one seems to be, the glue is drying. I'll show you the beads in just a second. Okay. Okay. Ah! I'm making a bit of a mess on this one here. It didn't dry properly. Okay. So we'll put this one up here to dry for now. We'll go back to that one after it dries. So if you're just joining us and you want to see what kind of beads, we're using these little, you can find them in the jewelry section. So for jewelry making, sorry, I've got hot glue all over me, and I'll show you a few here. So they're really small. You can see in my hand they're not very big. They're probably a couple of millimeters if you're in the States, or sorry, if you're in Canada. If you're in the States, they're like no bigger than 1/4 of an inch across. So you can see they're just little, and they do have a hole in the middle. They're the ones that people use for making necklaces or bracelets, things like that. So, and I'll just tip it there if you can see.
People say they're called seed beads.
Oh, perfect. I didn't even know the name, so that's perfect. And we've just added a little bit of this purple glitter. It's a mix of different colors of purple, and you can see it kind of coming off on my hands here. And that just adds a little bit of a shine to them when they're dry, when they are dried, so that you can, it just looks like they're kind of wet, almost like in the morning, and it looks really pretty. So I'm just going to make another one here. Don't forget to let us know. We're going to do, before we end in a little bit, we're going to do a draw for a Hometalk tote. It's really cute if you haven't seen it. And let us know what flower you would make. Someone on Hometalk suggested that they could make red and green ones like at Christmas, or gold and silver for Christmas too, to add in. And that would be really pretty. Okay. So if you're just joining us, again, there we've got our glue around the end, and I'm just going to dip it.
Joining from Abu Dhabi.
Oh, nice.
It's right beside Dubai.
Perfect. Okay, so you can see I've got them all stuck on here. I'm just going to give them a little squeeze, and they just stick right into the glue. So we're making these really pretty lavender stems that you can use to decorate all summer with. And I don't know if you can see, but they've just got the littlest hint of sparkle to them. I know natural lavender doesn't have a sparkle, but when it's wet, it just has that kind of sparkly look to it, and I love that. So I think that's really pretty. So we've done that. Hopefully you can see that little bit of sparkle, the glitter that we added in there. And you can make these whatever size you want, as tall as you want or short. That's the beautiful thing about lavender. When it grows wild, it just kind of grows crazy all over, and I love that. I think it's so pretty. And so you can make these however you want. This is probably not the best project if someone likes things perfectly done, because we're using twigs from the outside, and they're all different shapes and different sizes. It's a little bit random. So you can see we're just covering it up if you missed this part. So we painted our twigs this really pretty mossy green color. It was a custom mix of bayberry and inglenook, a fusion mineral paint. We painted our twigs first, these twigs that we found outside, and now we're just making the lavender buds on the end. So there you go. And if you have any questions, be sure to let us know too. We can answer any questions. and let us know what you would do with these. If you have any other great ideas, I am always loving to hear what everybody thinks of, because everybody thinks of so many things that the rest of us don't. So you can see all you really need for this are some twigs, beads, and glue, which is great. So it's a really inexpensive project too. So there's our glue bud on the end. And I'll kind of tip it up this time so you can see. And we're going to put all of the beads in there. There's enough glitter, so I haven't been adding glitter the last couple of times, because you can see that there's enough of this glitter in there. You can see them glittering a bit. There we go. All right, we'll make one more, and then we're going to finish off our vase here. And like we said, these are perfect to decorate your summer table if you have parties or outdoor barbecues this summer. They're so pretty, and in the sunshine they have that glitter gives them like this little glimmer, and it's really pretty. Just going to add some more glue. You can always, if you're doing this project, after I mentioned at the beginning too, if you miss anything, all of the directions are on Hometalk. So you can pop over to Hometalk, and you should be able to find this pretty easily. It was also on the Hometalk website today, or on their Facebook page today, so you can see that as well. Okay, so we've got our glue just kind of all around there. We're going to dip it in. You have to be careful. Whoop! Oh, nuts. I got some of the glue on my fingers, so now I'm getting gluey fingers with beads because the stem broke. So you want to make sure they aren't too small, too skinny. This stem broke a little bit at the end. That's what we had said at the beginning, and just make sure they're not too thin, because you can see the end of this broke here because the beads were too heavy, and that's okay. I'll just use this one as to lay down. I have some that I keep laying down, and I'll still use that. If you need to find the directions on Hometalk, let's see, let's choose a little one that's thicker. Here we go. You can search lavender stems, or you can also look under Recreative Designs, and you'll be able to find this project really easily, and all the stuff is there that you'll need. So be sure to tell us one last time, before we end here, we're going to end in just a minute, if you have any other ideas, what other ideas you would use this for? Any sort of projects. I love the idea of some silver and gold ones to add into like your Christmas displays.
People want red, white, and blue for July 4th.
Oh, that would be awesome for July
nice.
4th. They would almost look like little fireworks. That would be such a cool idea. You could take the little twigs on their own and put red, white, and blue on the end and make little fireworks. That would be so cute. So you can see here. So that's what we're doing. So we have our jar here, and it's pretty much dry now. So we've got some of the lavender stems that have been drying here, and they're all different heights and shapes, and I like that. I like that. So we're going to just finish off our jar. I'm going to put a little bit of this raffia.
People said you can make cattails with this.
Oh, cattails. That's a great idea. You could use brown beads and make some cattails to put in your decorations. Oh, I have some glue hanging from me that I can see. So we're just going to add this around. I really like rustic kind of things, so I love the look of the raffia and the lavender stems here.
Did you use fresh twigs for this project?
I did. If you're just joining us, sorry, I have glue hanging. So there's that. We used twigs that we found outside. So they are just twigs that we pulled off a tree outside. And you want to find ones that are not too thin, because it will break off. We had that problem here. It kind of broke because the lavender bud was too thick, and there was a little soft joint there, and it broke off. So you want to find some that are pretty thick, and make sure you use the skinny end. So even this one, it's a little bit long, and if I break it off right here, you could use that. You would have a thicker piece down here to use. So you could use that to make your lavender bud, and it would still be thick enough. So you can just find these anywhere outside. We grabbed these before the leaves came out on our trees here. We're up in Canada, and it was perfect time to grab some twigs before they came. So before we leave, make sure you hit subscribe. We'd love to have you come back. and watch some more live videos. Hometalk is going to let us know. We're going to do the draw for the Hometalk tote. So maybe they can let us know who is going to win the Hometalk tote today for letting us know what you would make. And there are some amazing
She's gonna
ideas.
do white glittery one for a wedding. And
Oh,
what was her name again?
We're just finding out who
Terry
won.
Thompson. So Terry Thompson.
Oh, Terry Thompson.
And he's gonna
You are
do
our
it
winner.
for a wedding, just
Oh,
white.
a wedding. That would be gorgeous. Even if you did some iridescent beads on the end, those would look so pretty under like twinkle lights for weddings. So you could use any color of beads you want on the end of these. And if you missed that, we just used these little tiny jewelry beads found in the jewelry section. And they're the perfect size so that they stick well and there's not a lot of gaps. So Terry, congratulations. That's awesome. Hometalk will contact you and let you know how they can get their tote to you. And we want to thank you for joining us. Hometalk will be back live at 5 o'clock, and I will be back in 2 weeks, Wednesday at 5 o'clock to see you again. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye.